What's going on guys, Bunks here, and today I have a video for you discussing some possible No Man's Sky Update 4.0 speculation and of course my wishlist for 2022 and what we could realistically see added to the game before the year is out. So without further ado, let's get stuck in. So within the last week alone, Hello Games have posted on LinkedIn that they're looking for more artists to add to their No Man's Sky team. And only a couple of months before that, they also posted saying they're looking for a designer and a tester, which of course means that they're expanding the current No Man's Sky team, and if that doesn't tell you that they're working on something big, I don't know what will. Also, as we're closing in on February, it's reasonably safe to assume that Hello Games could release their first major update of the year within the next month or so, as they have done over the past few years. What the update might be, who knows, but hopefully, because they brought up Expeditions Revisited at the end of 2021 and are expanding their team, it could mean that we're in for a very big addition to the game early in the year. And this brings me on to my wishlist for 2022 updates, along with of course some Update 4.0 speculation. Of course it is just speculation because in true Hello Games fashion they tend not to release much, if any, prior information about the next big update, and usually the first sign of an imminent new update is from Sean Murray's own Twitter account, and it often comes in the form of an emoji, so it's worth keeping an eye on that if you have Twitter. So coming up are a few items on my No Man's Sky wishlist for 2022, and whilst we're here, why not leave a comment below as to what you'd love to see added to the game this year. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. So something I've been wanting to see for a while now is a combat overhaul, and what exactly do I mean by that? Well, let's be honest, the combat in No Man's Sky is relatively straightforward, and the only time you may have an issue is if you come across a sentinel walker, and you're only just starting out in the game. But in reality, they're very easy to destroy even with a basic bolt caster. And as for space fighting, that is also relatively simple, because even the starter ship you get can easily destroy a fleet of pirates. So what would I like to see added or changed? We'll start down on the planet's surface. I would love to see more big boss sentinels, a bit like the sentinel walker, maybe bigger and just harder to defeat. And these would appear after you've gone through a few rounds of destroying lesser sentinels, so let's say you get basic sentinels, sentinel dog, sentinel walker, and then a random big boss sentinel. To that end, you know how some of the creatures on planets are aggressive? What if we had a wide variety of aggressive creatures, some of which would be on par with sentinel walkers or another big sentinel boss, which would introduce a newer form of combat not yet seen really in the game. Moving on out into space, you know how you can go to a system which claims to effectively be at war, yet when you get there it's no different from any other system you've been to, apart from some of the planets may have a higher sentinel activity. Well, what if when we warp there, we warp into a massive space fight between multiple fleets of freighters, and you can join in on one side or the other, or if you wish, go in as a mercenary and just attack both sides with the main goal of gathering rare resources. These space fights could also include space boss battles. For example, they release a great big fighter ship which has significantly more difficult to destroy than existing pirate ships that you come across. It would certainly add a new dimension to space fighting. So to sum up the combat overhaul, I would love to see more variety and most importantly a greater challenge, because currently it's fairly easy to defeat absolutely anything you come across in the game. And that brings me on to my next thing I would love to see, more challenges with a greater difficulty as you increase your inventory and technology ranking. At the moment, do you think upgrading the likes of your ship, your multi-tool, and even some of the tech in your exosuit have any bearing on how the game plays? I currently feel that upgrading all my things is really only doing it for my own personal satisfaction and sense of achievement rather than to progress throughout the game. If we have greater challenges, then the entire process of upgrading would seem like it has an end goal and not just my ship and multi-tool are better than yours kind of a vibe going on. Swiftly moving on, I think adding extensions to the existing updates would be a fantastic idea instead of introducing completely new features. The reason I say this is because once you've gone through a bunch of the new updates, for example settlements, you get to a certain point and think, what now? And often it doesn't take long to get to that point at the moment with many features of the game. Don't get me wrong, these new updates over the years have been amazing, especially as they've been completely free, but it is starting to feel like No Man's Sky is as wide as an ocean but as deep as a puddle. I personally think a year of Hello Games focusing on making that ocean deeper instead of wider would have a greater impact on the enjoyability of the game. A couple of things on my wish list for this would be, why don't we extend settlements so we can eventually progress them into a small city rather than just sticking to a small settlement. This could introduce a wide variety of new missions to expand our settlement, and also face some of the bigger threats I mentioned earlier coming to destroy our settlement. Another thing is, you know how each and every system has an economy level? What if we had the chance to really affect the economy? For example, if we go to a failing economy, what about if there are missions introduced which give us the ability to fix that up and raise the wealth of it? And of course, reward us with some incredibly rare or even totally brand new resources. This could also lead into the conflict status of a system. What if we had missions to settle the conflict, or, make it more interesting, the opposite, just for a laugh, make it worse? You hear a lot about previous conflicts throughout the No Man's Sky history when you talk to various species, but you never really see any of it when you're exploring, so adding this to the game would give it another dimension in my opinion. Whilst you're here folks, I'd appreciate if you hit those like and subscribe buttons so you can stay up to date with all of these upcoming updates, as I'll be doing in-depth videos on each and every one of them. Another thing that kind of bugs me is that even though we have access to 250 galaxies in the vast universe that is No Man's Sky, once you've been in one, you've effectively seen them all. Sure, some of them may have slight differences, like Eastern Time having more lush planets, but on the whole, they are fairly similar. And it would be totally awesome if Hello Games were to add some more variations to these different galaxies. We could see desolate galaxies that are swarming with abyssal horrors and corrupt sentinels. What about galaxies in a huge state of conflict and almost every system in there has space wars going on, a bit like the ones I previously mentioned with the new big boss battles. Next up, you probably knew this one might creep up in this video, ship customization. Now, I'm not talking about being able to change the entire appearance of our ship, because I think that would ruin the fun of exploring for uber rare ships, but I would love to see in the ship customization part of the game the ability to create our own livery for them. This means we could give them new and custom paint jobs and add decals which we can unlock in the anomaly by spending salvage data. This is similar to a lot of car games already released, minus the body kit editing. I'd also love to see the ability to change the appearance of the cockpit to be added alongside it. I think this might be a compromise from Hello Games, because loads of players would like to see some form of ship customization, but they don't want the exploration side of finding your rare ship to disappear. Do you guys want to see ship customization of some form? And if so, what kind of customization? Let me know in the comments below. Finally, I would love to see in 2022, and also one of the more likely things we'll see by the end of the year, is the Station Override expansion. Currently, we can't really do much with the Station Override, and it remains completely unknown as to what may come of it in the near future, but what we possibly do know is that an update might come this year. So what could it possibly do? Well, it could allow us to claim our very own space station and make a profit from all the species who do business there, and once claimed, it could also allow us to access the rest of the space station, add rooms and functions to it, or access existing rooms and features that Hello Games themselves could add in, who knows. It could be similar to how we can add rooms and many other things in our freighters at the moment. What do you guys think the Station Override is going to do? Let me know in the comments below. So, with no major updates added to the game since Frontiers in September 2021, I think it's safe to assume that Update 4.0 will in fact be a big one. I think realistically what we could see in Update 4.0 is firstly a new expedition. What this may entail is anyone's guess, but more expeditions is certainly a good thing. Another thing we could see is more content added to the anomaly and possibly a bit of a redecoration to it. If you think about it, a lot of the vendors on the anomaly are just there to have a very brief chat and accept items off you, and that's about it. What if they could give us missions with unique and rare rewards, perhaps more multiplayer lobbies where it's easy to team up with a larger number of players to take on increasingly difficult missions. And with the Station Override having already been added in the summer of 2021, but it doing absolutely nothing other than telling you that the code we've got cannot be used, I think it would be fair to assume that something to do with this override will be in Update 4.0. Again, who knows what the override will do is anyone's guess, but after they've teased the station override for 6 months now, I'm hoping they deliver it fully this year. And that, folks, is my wishlist for No Man's Sky in 2022, along with a little bit of speculation. Leave a comment below as to what you'd most like to see added to the game in 2022. And don't forget to show those like and subscribe buttons some love whilst you're here, because you don't want to miss out on any of my up and coming No Man's Sky videos. I will of course be covering all the new updates in depth as and when they are released. As always, thank you for watching and catch you next time.